7:14 on a cloudy, foggy day. And before we go to our County Judge, Mickey Pendergrass, once again, support for the Mountain Christian Academy. You can call them at 424-6622. I had a piece of paper out here. I thought the phone number was on it, but, well, I had to go to break. So anyway, 424-6622, Mountain Christian Academy, teaching the kids right. And, I mean, kids come in here. They've been up since 5:30 this morning, had his prayer all written out, and doing a great job. Well, we want to welcome to microphone number 2 our County Judge, Mickey Pendergrass. How did Awareness Fair go?
The Preparedness Fair went very well, yes. And good morning to everybody. Be careful out there. It is foggy, and the roads are wet. So, yeah, we had a great turnout. We had 50 full vendors. We had somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 people come through there. The kids were getting their tattoos, and the kids' fair was very well. They got to play games and get gifts, and you can make a round. And you didn't have to go trick-or-treating Saturday night. You come through there and get a basket full of candy.
Really?
Yeah, they had stuff everywhere.
The kids had fun.
Yeah, and we gave away a lot of door prizes, and it was amazing how the people gathered up when you started drawing numbers. And,
yeah.
Had some pretty good stuff going on. But, yeah, we had a great turnout. Turned out to be a reasonably good day, and people just trickled in and through. The Salvation Army cooked up all them hot dogs.
Oh, yeah.
They were serving them 2 at a time. If you come to get one, you got 2. But those a lot of things happening there, and hopefully people picked up on a lot of things, prepare themselves, you know, from the Coast Guard to the Corps of Engineers, Game and Fish, Civil Air Patrol, plus the other commercial vendors, our 911 office, fire departments. There was a lot of good things going on there.
You know, we just never know. Like, you know, of course, the ice storm of 9. We had some snow and ice last year. Last year wasn't near as bad as some of the previous years, though, was it? Well, we have that 1 8 or 9 inch snow that come through.
Yeah, we had enough.
Had enough. Yeah, I agree.
It wasn't as bad as the year before, but we
Bad
still
enough.
got hit. Yeah, got hit later in the winter. We had a couple of 3 pretty doozies, but we only had 8 days of fog this year in August, so maybe that's an indication we won't have so much of that.
I was watching, I was down at Harold's Auto Parts having a cup of coffee, and they have Channel 3's 24/7 weather, the 3-2 digital, which coincides with Wonderground, I think, or Weather Nation or something like that. And they're showing the pattern for weather to where in the, let me get my map here, from Washington to California over about Utah and Colorado is cooler than normal for November. But west of Colorado, in other words, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, south, was could be as high as 20 degrees above normal.
East of Colorado, yeah.
Yeah. East of Colorado, yeah.
So the cold fronts is not hewing down and pushing down from Canada here.
They're going to circle through basically Las Vegas, Phoenix, Santa Fe, and come back up and split Nebraska. So, you know, western Nebraska could be cold, while eastern's going to be warmer. But for Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and the southeast, they said as much as 20 degrees on the average above normal.
Well, that'd be unusual. And it has been kind of an unusual year. If you remember through this year, just like the temperatures we're having now, we got extremely dry there before last weekend.
Yeah.
And but the rains came late spring, early summer, and it's like one of the resort owners said, it's the first time as many years that they'd been in business on the lakes, first time they remember the lakes rising during the summertime.
Yeah.
They usually rise in the spring, so it's been kind of an unusual year. And then it turned dry, and southern Arkansas got extremely dry. Thank goodness all the burn bans have been lifted now because we got some moisture in the ground. But the southwestern United States has still got a lot of drought area. But they've been getting some moisture lately.
That helps.
Yeah, that big hurricane that came in on Mexico, they was talking about how bad it was and how highest recorded winds ever, and it did, compared to what the storm was it did very little damage, but it did bring a lot of rain and push through here.
And even Texas, I got family in Texas, and we were discussing the rain patterns down there, and they said, you know, we were very, very dry in Texas.
Yeah.
And they've had more rain than Southern California and, of course, southwest Arizona, but that's desert country.
Now, I had a niece that you'd hear the media term and the big Weather Channel turn around, don't drown. Mm-hmm. She's out in Abilene, Texas area, and she drove into one of them, got stranded in high water with little kids in the car and couldn't get out, and finally got rescued. It was one of them flash floods coming off of them storms just preceding that hurricane that came into Mexico. But it was pretty hairy there, practically brand new vehicle, because the water was too deep. It just kind of have high on the way the roads run out there, and they don't have real good drainage. But
well, now this is something else that could be brought up in another preparedness fair. I mean, come on, we're hilly terrain.
Mm-hmm.
If of course, you're on top of the hill, you don't have to worry about it. But how many different areas on our county roads are subject to a quick flood of maybe 2.5 to 4 feet of water?
And there used to be a lot more than there is now. But because they were all low water crossings. But it can still happen. A flash flood, if you get the right amount of rain, can still happen and overwhelm a road. If there's any doubt, don't go through it. Because it is extremely dangerous. It doesn't take much water to move especially these smaller vehicles to drive today.
Yeah. Well, you've got a whole page of notes, and I've got to ask you, we've got 9 minutes before we go to the first break, the lawsuit concerning the nativity.
We still have not got a ruling down from Judge Brooks. That's what we've been waiting on, and the hearing date was set for October the 15th, which was canceled for no jury, no trial. Everything was given in depositions. But and so the judge was going to render an opinion. We still haven't gotten it yet. I need to check with the attorneys today and see what's going on because we thought we'd have it by now, so we'd know where we go from here and what the decisions are. We still feel very good about it because the precedent that's been set in federal court before will uphold what we've done.
Mm-hmm. I think it should be the will of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think overall, probably 95%, if not more, of Baxter County would agree that we want that on the courthouse lawn.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to propose a couple of years ago when I got one of my first letters from Freedom from Religion Foundation that he was an attorney for 19,000 people, and I wanted to propose to him that I was county judge for 42,000 people. You pay for the election, I'll call a special election, let's vote on it. The lawyers wouldn't let me do that, so. But I think that would speaks volumes for the traditions that goes on here in this area and much of this part of the country. And you hear some of the things going on with judicial fiat that's going on around the country right now. It's just amazing, and it's very hypocritical. It depends on of what religion that you are. It appears now. When you got Muslims that get a $240,000 settlement in the Chicago area, and the same thing has been done to Christians, and they're thrown in jail, that just don't make sense to me, because the judicial system is not together.
For those that don't know, there was a truck driver that was Muslim.
Two of them,
mm-hmm. that were to deliver beer to a certain location. Because of their religion, they couldn't do that.
Yeah, well, they were truck drivers, and these particular loads they were to haul was delivering beer.
Uh-huh.
And they said they couldn't do that because of the religion, so they fired him, and they got a $240,000 a piece settlement from the company.
But then the lady in Kentucky wouldn't file the gay marriage license, and she spent, 5 years?
That's the most highlighted case. There's a lot more cases out there. The case in Oregon, so many are familiar with, that the Oregon is coming down on the bakery that wouldn't bake the cake for a same-sex marriage. When you turn right around and you have a homosexual baker that wouldn't bake a cake for a Christian couple because of what they want on the cake. The decisions in those two cases, if you look them up, are totally opposite. And where they're trying to break the people in Oregon, the same-sex baker or the homosexual baker got off scot-free when he was sued by the ones who wanted what they wanted on their cake, and they refused to bake it. So the judicial system is going to have to figure out is what's good. As my old grandpa used to say, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yep.
And we need to quit being hypocritical about it. If it's freedom of religion, freedom from religion, whatever they want to call it, then it works both in all directions. Mm-hmm. And it just makes people have a thought like I do that they're picking on me because I'm a Christian,
mm-hmm.
and that ought not to be. It's a movement of the liberal thought in the country, the progressive thought in the country that the Christians have ruled for so long, so we got to knock them down, and that's a predominant thought around the world.
Well, they got a free key in the door to unlock anything
mm-hmm.
they want with Obama sitting up there as president because he's a cheerleader.
Yeah,
and so is Hillary Clinton, in my opinion.
They certainly set the president, but the thing is, he has appointed a lot of federal judges right now. We're going to pay for this for years and years to come, but the country can't stand much of this. There's going to be pushback. You always hear all the time about the Second Amendment and all this going on. And I read something just this weekend that said that when in 2007, there was like 244 million firearms in this country. Now they say there's 317 million firearms owned by a population that's only 311 million. That's happened in the last 6 to 8 years. So I would say that one thing for sure, that this president has been good for firearm sales.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
But I also saw a cartoon that was funny, but it was kind of spoke the truth. It says, so the government is going to collect 317 firearms, and they cannot even find 11 illegal immigrants. What's not right about this picture? And so it just depends on what your motives are, and highlights in the country. And we certainly need to bring in some ideas that this country was established on. Yeah,
that's true. I don't know if I've ever seen a more dysfunctional administration as the Barack Obama administration. And what do you think about the debate? What do you think about the debates at NBC getting the boot?
Well, I was late getting into that. Of course, there was World Series games on. It was much more important because the Royals won, and that's a big deal. Just from my home state of Missouri, the Kansas City Royals did a great job, and so I didn't see all the debate, but I did see enough of it. And the punchlines. What amazed me was when I found out the agreement that this network had made with the Republican Party and with GOP on what the questions were going to be, and I don't know that I heard any questions along that line outside of it, because I didn't listen to the whole thing. But
even Chris Christie was asked a question, and then the guy interrupted. He said,
fantasy football.
Do you want to answer the question? Or do you want to keep interrupting me? He says, even in New Jersey we call that rude.
Yeah, and I remember Ted Cruz pushing back once, and he said, you don't want to hear the answer, do you? You cut me off. You don't want to hear the answer to this question. But it was amazing to watch, almost in unison, all 10 candidates turned on him without conversation among themselves. They saw what was happening, and it was like a team effort. And I said, you go, guys. And girls, because Carly Fiorina was up there. But they actually lost control of that debate because and I'm not sure. I've read some reports on this that wasn't good for the candidates, because they made a lot of high points pushing back against the media, and the media is under the guise of reporting news. The media is trying to direct the country, and it's amazing the news that's out there. They do not report because it's not
and I was surprised for one strange evening. I don't know what happened. I watched CBS evening. I normally watch NBC News. It's good for a chuckle. So for some reason I watched CBS. They actually had a report on Obamacare that Obamacare premiums are going up 7.5%. And they said more people are opting out of Obamacare because it's more expensive now than what it was to have their other policy.
Well, let me give you an instance, and we're in the middle of budget discussions right now. I'm beginning for next year's budget that has to be passed in November. We always begin this in October. When we got our insurance forecast this year from our insurance carrier, it was 7.5% increase. And then they told us the crutch to that was 4.1 of that 7.5 was because of the Affordable Care Act. It was an administrative fee that nobody could do anything about it, so we had a 7.5% increase, and 4.1 of it was tied right back to the Affordable Care Act. So we had to find a different policy and do some negotiation, but because the county can't afford that.
So 7.1%.
7.5% we were going to have an increase because we had a high claims rate this past 12
And how
months.
much was
4.1% of it was due to Affordable Care Act.
Otherwise, then you'd have a 3-point-something, which would be a little bit more affordable. About 40 seconds before we go to break. What else we need to cover before we hit the news?
Well, we can come back. We'll talk briefly about the Quorum Court meeting is tonight. The filing period for political offices is going on. The clerk is taking filings. They had several yesterday, and Secretary of State's taking filings. They had a great number of judicial and both partisan. Well, there were libertarians on there too. But all that's going on right now kind of irritates the dickens out of me. That's a year ahead of the time we got to vote. I didn't like that, and I was sitting in on some of the legislature hearings when this was going on. I did not approve, but that's what we got to deal with. So
that's what we got. All right, that's bringing us up to news time. We're visiting with County Judge Mickey Pendergrass. And let's see, once again, Mountain Christian Academy, 424-6622. If you can help those folks financially, they'd greatly appreciate that. Time for the news. We'll be right back. 7:35 on this foggy, cloudy November 3rd, and we're continuing our discussion with our County Judge Mickey Pendergrass.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Drive careful out there in this fog, and there's always this time of year when the deer are plumb stupid. So
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. They ain't got no sense this time of year. They got love on the brain, and nothing else gets in the way. I had a guy tell me yesterday he had one that he stopped, and it was a doe, and she went to jump the vehicle and caught her shoulders on the front fender, and dented it, went up the windshield, over the hood, and landed in the bed of the pickup. And she finally got her head up on the edge of the bed of the pickup and got her feet jumped out and landed on her side, and then caught her wind and run off. They're crazy right now.
I saw a big old doe. I was going to Fayetteville Saturday, and there's a pretty good sized doe laying along the west end of the bypass out there.
Yeah, I see them about. Oh, it's almost every day seems like. But somebody's had close calls today. I assure you.
Well, we've got a run in the backyard here in town.
Yep, and every town has that here in Baxter County. I just remind everybody there is a quorum court meeting tonight, 6 o'clock, second floor of the courthouse. We've got a fairly light agenda. The most popular thing in people's minds is always on the November agenda.
Budget?
And no, it's the millage millage rate that's set by all the fire departments and cities and schools and the county, ASU, library, all that millage that's on your tax bill is voted on every November, so it's on the ballot. There's no change, at least not yet. But
I can make everybody's phone light up. It's going up. It's going up.
No, there's no change. Everybody sends their letters in. We write up the ordinance, so it's all staying the same as what you're normally used to. And there's some normal runs of business as far as ordinances appropriating funds that have come in, or reappropriating, or taking in some new monies. Very little. But we also have some resolutions on for Grover Township Fire Department. Clark Ridge Fire Department is applying for a couple of grants. There's resolutions in support of them, but also we have a resolution that's been added to the agenda tonight. The county and the Economic Development District and others have been working on this 4 to 5 years. It's called a Hazard Mitigation Plan, and it has finally been finalized, and there's going to be a resolution on the agenda tonight. And what this is goes to FEMA to give us, with all the entities, where it's schools or cities or the county, it's a pre-disaster plan. What if and what you're going to do if happens. And so this is it's 130 something pages, and it's been submitted to FEMA. It does cost to get this done, but this is a resolution. The plan will be available tonight, and we'll make it available to anybody who wants to see it. But it's constantly changing, and they try to get every county to put one of these plans, and it's not been doing. But if you don't have a pre-disaster hazard mitigation plan, it's hard to get FEMA funds when you do have a disaster. So this plan in place will help us, if something happens, to acquire those federal funds to help us fix it.
Now, did you say something about the schools in that mitigation plan?
Yeah, the schools are in that too. The superintendents and the schools are included in what's your plan if A happens or if D happens, and the same thing with the cities, so that we know and then we look at what do we need to do to prepare in case this happens. What is your plan? Do you have plans to build a storm shelter? Do you have, like in the county, is there a road that's easy to flood? Do we need to plan for a bridge? Things like that's in this plan to try to help us, if money become available, to prepare in case something happened. And it's just something that FEMA has been working on for many years, and try to get every county to have those, and you work together with all the entities in the county.
Okay, under a hazard mitigation plan in the schools, would an active shooter be part of a disaster?
Yes.
Okay, my thought...
And they train for that, and that's in the plan.
Okay, my thought, and I'm not going to mention how the schools are laid out because I don't want anybody, taking what I say and using it against schools. But anyway, why can't we have a single alarm trigger to get every classroom door on motorized electric locks in event of emergency for a lockdown?
There are things like that in the plan. You'd have to read it to see that, and that's something that constantly upgrades. But that's it. That's the purpose of it, is to call out where your shortfalls are to see what you need to plan for. An even greater natural disaster. If you have a tornado comes through like it Joplin a few years ago and it hits your school, what's your plan?
Yeah.
Where are you going to go, and are you making preparations to take care of those kids and employees, and those kind of things? What you're preparing, active shooter, be the same thing, because things have. We have to all understand things have changed in this world. It's not as dangerous here as it is in many parts of the country, but still it could happen. And so what you're planning, so they practice it, or they find the shortcomings and they know what they need to be working on to get prepared for whatever. But this is something been in the works for a while.
And FEMA's what? Federal Emergency Management Agency?
Yes. And through conjunction with ADAM, Arkansas Department of Emergency Management, this goes through ADAM, and we've been working on this for several months.
So FEMA would, through the federal government, will actually give or grant money to help?
It's possible, yes.
Because that's all they were aftermath.
No, both.
Really?
Because you have this plan in place, if money's become available and you can apply for a grant, and this is in your plan. Say you want to build a safe room in a school now has the opportunity to apply for this FEMA grant because we have a plan. Or if we need a bridge because this road is consistently flooding and a bridge will fix that, and you can design and build a bridge to fix it, then you might be able to apply and get grant money. Without the plan, it's much more difficult to get those funds. And it's basically another requirement by a federal agency like FEMA to push down on you to do things, but it's also a good exercise and makes us aware of where our shortcomings are and what we're looking for, what we need, and how much money. You're talking tens of millions of dollars to fix these things with the money that's just not available. At least you know where they're at. But each agency, we've had group meetings from mayors and superintendents and my office and my 911 office and the Office of Emergency Management. So it's on the agenda tonight.
Huh. Interesting. No doubt it's much needed.
Yes, and they're working on trying to get every county to have one, and it's a work in progress for all of them. But we're going to be announcing tonight what the result is. If you want to know what the result is of our plan, you come to the meeting tonight because we'll be making an announcement.
And where's that meeting at?
Courthouse, downtown Mountain Home.
Second floor.
Second floor, the old courtroom. And we will announce the result of this plan that we're working on, that the resolution's on the... I mean, that's the other things that's going on. We have a new manager at the animal control shelter, and he's doing a really good job of getting things and get publicity out there and taking care of the animals. He is now on Facebook, so if you want to keep up with the animals, it's Baxter County Animal Control Facility.
Let me check it.
And he posts all the dogs and cats that's up for adoption or is collected. If lost a pet or you've got one that's come up missing, be sure to look on their website and look.
It's called what? Baxter County Animal what?
Animal Control Shelter.
Control.
Or Facility 1. Is it coming up yet?
Not yet.
And there are some really interesting videos on there and pictures, and encourage people to like that site so they can see the updates as they come in, and to take care of the dogs and the cats that we collect that are stray and out there. He's doing a good job, and we appreciate that. I am the recipient of a little black cat that come out of there. We've had a blast with it, so my kids are giving me a hard time because that's not happened before, so they think I'm getting old. And
I see where Danny Porter has put a photo of a dog on here, but it's just his Friends of Baxter County Animals.
That's a different Facebook page.
Is it? Let me try again. They got it up and running, you say?
Yes, it's been going for 3-4 weeks. But there will be videos of some of the dogs in there. And cats are just hilarious to watch. But that's one way we're trying to get more publicity out. We thank to the Baxter County citizens. There's a volunteer tax on your tax bill now, and this year they've committed over $68,000 to help fund that facility as a volunteer tax that we collected this year. So it has really helped our budget tremendously and allows us to do some things out there probably in the future that we weren't going to be able to do because of budget constraints. So we appreciate all the people that contributed to that. It's a $15 volunteer tax on your tax bill when you paid it, and this year the collector collected over $68,000. So
wow,
we will we're really thankful for that and the people that support it, because animals are a big deal. Pets are a big deal in Baxter County. And the dog lovers, the cat lovers, whatever your pet is, whether it be a horse, hopefully it's not a kangaroo, but those things are huge here, and people want to see them taken care of the best, and that's what we try to do there.
And we're visiting with our county judge, Mickey Pendergrass. Of course, he's Baxter County Judge. We're going to take a quick break. More with the judge right after this. Stick around. Be right back. 7:49. Had to wait for it to...
Switch over from 48
Jerry
to
gave
49.
me this. I got to get this on. Let's see. The meeting of, let's see, this is the Amateur Radio Club. We're going to have them on, let's see, ham radio on the 18th of November. I love ham radio. I love shortwave radio. Thursday, November 5th at 7 p.m. That's Thursday. The meeting will be held at the Salvation Army Church basement. Church is off 201 South. They're on the right. They park on the south side of the building. Enter through the door on the south. For information, call Al Daugherty, WBO-TVQ, club president, at 870-424-2757. I tell you what, now here's another national security asset right here in amateur radio.
They are part of our HMGP.
Oh, really?
Yes. It is well known, those of us that are dealing and responsible for disasters and emergencies, we have a ham radio in a 911 center. We have one at the training center. We have a mobile unit with a ham radio. We have guys signed up, volunteers, great bunch of guys that if we lose all other avenues of communication, they're standing by my side.
Mm-hmm.
They can talk to anybody in the world, and they will broadcast anything that is authorized to be broadcast. They are our last line of defense, or line of communication, rather, to get word out if things get bad. And we have a direct line. They are part of our emergency management plan. And they're a great group of guys. And I do love shortwave radio. I remember as a kid, I used to have guys come down and hunt on our farm out of Springfield, and they'd set up their ham radio, and we just have a blast listening to all that stuff. So, but this is a great, and they know what they're doing. And they've made it very clear to me of what they will communicate if the time comes. But we lose all telephones, cell phones, radios.
You still got amateur radio?
We've got ham radio, and we have them at every location that we possibly can have, including mobile units, if need be, to get the word out and communicate with whatever we need. If we need to communicate with Adam and they're the only way to get there, we'll have them tied in. So
give you an idea
they are
of how
a very
strong,
a very good part of our community.
How strong amateur radio is. Years ago, I think this is back before the Kennedy assassination, '63. My dad was working McDonnell Douglas Aircraft in St. Louis, and at lunchtime, a buddy of him invited him to come down to the parking lot to the car and look at the ham radio that he had in his '58 Ford. Of course, back then it's all tube type sets. Well, he had built this amateur radio, and he keyed it and was talking to a guy. And the guy identified himself as being in Santa Fe, New Mexico. They were talking just like we're talking right here. The clarity was unbelievable. So they're sitting in a parking lot of the Aircraft Corporation in St. Louis talking to a guy in Santa Fe, New Mexico on 5 watts.
It's amazing.
On 5 watts.
Yeah, they can talk around the world. But, they are an important part of our plan. So we'll give a shout-out to them. I hope everybody that's interested in that will go be with them. Let me give a shout-out before we leave, too, of a function that just happened. We have a lot of kids in Baxter County that participate in this, and also in Ozark County, because my granddaughter was involved in that. They just had the Future Farmers of America convention in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I got to see a little bit of it on RFD TV.
Good.
FFA is something that's very important in my life and my background.
My dad's part of that.
My parliamentary procedure skills were learned in FFA in high school. We had all the teachers and the students that just got back this weekend from Louisville. They had, how many, 64,453 in attendance at that convention in Louisville, Kentucky for the FFA, and awarded the American farmers and the new officers and entertainment. And it's a big deal. And I know I was over at Yelville, and one of the guys came in that works for Marion County, and he come in. He said, just got a phone call from his son. He said, "Hey, Dad, guess where I'm at?" "I don't know." He said, "You went to Churchill Downs yesterday." He said, "Where are you at?" He said, "I'm at the Louisville Slugger plant."
Watching baseball bats being made. Wow.
So these kids get to do a lot of things, and that's a very, to me, a very important part of my life was the FFA, and all those kids participating. A big shout out to them because they just got back from their big convention, because they're very big contributors to our community.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And a very great and disciplined organization. And when you see them kids in them blue jackets with their medals and their name, and if they have an officer or their degree that's on their jacket, it's that kid's got some good training. And we have a lot of programs like that, but that's one of them. And they do a lot of different things in agribusiness, agriculture, and other branching out stuff.
We know there's a lot of good groups. FFA, that's been around for years. My dad was part of FFA when he was in high school in farm country Illinois. Illinois is big in corn and wheat and stuff. You've got FFA, you've got 4-H, Boy Scouts. What else is out there that's good training for?
Well, there's ROTC.
ROTC
is an excellent part of that. There's a lot of extracurricular activities that doesn't include sports. And or band, and they all, and along with band and sports, they're very great teaching organizations and disciplinary. Like an FFA, I learned public speaking.
Did you?
I learned parliamentary procedure, learned how to play by the rules, and also build things and fix things. And I like a lot of the kids here. A big thing is to show steers or livestock. I showed gates that I built or some kind of woodworking in fairs and won ribbons and money from this thing. So it's like a shop. There's a lot of things to do with agribusiness that they learn, but the discipline they get out of it is with you for the rest of your life.
Future Farmers America, that's down home America. That's down home America.
And they have really expanded, but I believe the number was over 64,000.
That's great.
Was in attendance at that convention. But they just got back this weekend, and they were at that, and they also just got back from the state fair doing all the competition down there just before that. So they get involved in a lot of things. So a big shout out to them, and as well as all the great organizations like that in our schools and in our community.
That's great. Final 30 seconds.
Well, we appreciate. We went through this year with over 10 community meetings around the county from all four corners of the county, and we got to meet a lot of people and to talk and answer a lot of questions, talk about a lot of issues. And in off-election years, we really enjoy doing that, to get out. And it's really tight and heavy on my schedule, but we still get out there, and we invite everybody. If you got questions, call. Let us know. If you got issues or problems, you may not always like the answer, but we'll certainly deal with it. But appreciate, don't forget the Corn Court meeting tonight, and appreciate everybody's contribution to the county.
And I got a text from Mike Stevens, Volunteer Fire Department at Pineville. They have 5 amateur radios down there. Good plug for amateur. Thanks, Mike, for that plug, for that text. That wraps it up. Hope you have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.